My dear students, today I am going to explain you about chemical bonding. What is chemical bond? The attractive force that holds two atoms or ions together in a molecule. ఒక మాలిక్యూల్లో రెండు ఆటమ్స్ని కానీ అయాన్స్ని కానీ పట్టి ఉంచేటటువంటి ఫోర్స్ని కెమికల్ బాండ్ అంటారు. సో the reason for chemical bonding is mainly the energy changes and rearrangement of electrons. ఎలక్ట్రాన్ రీఅరేంజ్మెంట్ కావచ్చు, ఎనర్జీ చేంజెస్ అనేవి కెమికల్ బాండ్కి ముఖ్యమైనటువంటి థింగ్స్. ఇక్కడ ఒక కెమికల్ బాండ్ జరిగినప్పుడు there will be decrease in the energy, అంటే ఎనర్జీ డిక్రీజ్ అవుతుంది. ఎనర్జీ డిక్రీజ్ అయినప్పుడు స్టెబిలిటీ అనేది పెరుగుతుంది. అంటే టు గెట్ ద స్టెబిలిటీ ఆటమ్స్ కంబైన్ టు ఫార్మ్ కాంపౌండ్స్. స్టెబిలిటీ కోసం ఆటమ్స్ అనేవి కలిసిపోయి కాంపౌండ్గా ఫామ్ అవుతాయి. ఎలక్ట్రానిక్ థియరీ ఆఫ్ వ్యాలెన్స్. దిస్ థియరీ వాస్ ఇండిపెండెంట్లీ ప్రపోజ్డ్ బై లూయిస్ అండ్ కసెల్. హియర్ యు ఆర్ హ్యావింగ్ ఏ టర్మ్ వ్యాలెన్స్. ఇక్కడ మనకు వ్యాలెన్స్ అనే ఒక పదం ఉంది. వాట్ ఈస్ వ్యాలెన్స్? Valency, the outermost shell, outermost electrons, these terms are familiar to you because these are explained in periodic classification of elements. Consider an atom. Sodium. Sodium is an atom and its atomic number is 11, so I am going to write its electronic configuration as 1s2, 2s2, 2p6 and 3s1. So this is the outermost electron, so I can say this is the valence electron. So I am going to draw the atom of sodium which contains 3 shell. You know very well, in the first shell 2 electrons will be there, in the second there will be 8 electrons, so 2 plus 8 is 10, one more electron will be there, and this is in the third shell. This third shell is called the outermost shell and this is called the outermost electron, or I can say the valence electron. అంటే ఈ outermost shell లో ఉన్నటువంటి ఎలక్ట్రాన్లను valence ఎలక్ట్రాన్లని అనాలి. Valence is, so the valence of sodium is 1. సో ఈ outermost shell లో ఎన్ని ఎలక్ట్రాన్స్ ఉంటే అది దాని valence అవుతుంది. So it is applicable up to 4 electrons only. After that you have to minus it from 8. For example, chlorine is there in which 7 electrons will be in the outermost shell. Chlorine lo outermost shell lo 7 untai, so its valency is not 7. Valence electrons are 7, but the valency is not 7. Its valency is 8 minus 7, which is equals to 1. So to represent the valency electrons, Lewis gave Lewis dot structure. Lewis dot. దీంట్లో ఏంటంటే in this, if sodium is there, you have to represent sodium like this. So the outermost electron, right? If magnesium is there, you have to represent like this. If aluminum is there, you have to represent like this. If argon is there, which is not gas, so it will have 8 electrons in the outermost shell, so you have to represent like that. By observing these Lewis dot structure లో మనం వీటిని చూడంగానే we are able to know the valency of the atom. The reason for any bond formation is simply stability. బాండ్ ఎన్ని ఫామ్ అవుతుందంటే స్టెబుల్గా ఉండడానికి. స్టెబుల్గా ఉంటామంటే టు హ్యావ్ ద డ్యూప్లెట్ కాన్ఫిగరేషన్ or octet configuration. This duplet is only for hydrogen and helium, and octet for the remaining atoms. So what is duplet means? The outermost shell should have 2 electrons so that it is stable. The outermost shall have 2 electrons so that it is stable, and outermost shell lo in current electron unta is stable. This is possible only for these two. The remaining neon number is 10. I am going to write its electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 2 to 4 plus 6, 10. So if you draw this one for neon, so neon will be first shell and second shell. In first shell you have 2 and in second 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The outermost shell have 8 electrons, so this is stable. So every atom want to acquire 8 electrons to become stable. This is octet rule. The atom tends to have 8 electrons in their outermost shell by forming compounds. Compounds form చేయడం ద్వారా ప్రతి ఒక్క ఆటము దాని outermost shell లో 8 electrons ఉండడానికి ట్రై చేస్తుంది. This is called the octet rule.
In phosphorus pentachloride and sulfur hexafluoride, there is deviation in octet rule because after formation of bond, phosphor have 10 electrons and sulfur have 12 electrons. Cossel proposed ionic bond or electrovalent bond and Lewis proposed covalent bond.
So this electrovalent bond, I can say ionic bond. So in this bond there will be transfer of electrons. And in covalent bond there will be sharing of electrons. Now I am going to explain you what is ionic bond. The electrostatic attractive force between two ions, cation and anion. This force keeps these two ions together to form a new compound which is electrically neutral. అంటే anion cation కలిసి ఒక కొత్త కాంపౌండ్ ఏర్పడి అది ఆ ఏర్పడ్డ కాంపౌండ్ ఎట్లా ఉంటుంది, ఎలక్ట్రికల్లీ న్యూట్రల్ గా ఉంటుంది. సో దిస్ ఇస్ ionic bond. What is cation? Cation is the ion formed when a neutral atom loses one electron. ఒక న్యూట్రల్ ఆటమ్ ఒక ఎలక్ట్రాన్ కనుక కోల్పోతే దాన్ని cation అనాలి. సో ఒక ఎలక్ట్రాన్ కోల్పోయిందంటే ఇట్ విల్ బికమ్ పాజిటివ్. సో పాజిటివ్ ion is cation and a neutral atom when gains an electron then it becomes anion. ఒక న్యూట్రల్ ఆటమ్ ఒక ఎలక్ట్రాన్ కనుక పొందినట్లయితే అది anion అవుతుంది. సో ఇట్ విల్ బి నెగటివ్. anion అనేది నెగటివ్, cation అనేది పాజిటివ్. నౌ ఫర్ దిస్ ionic bond I am going to give you an example. Formation of NaCl. So sodium which has 11 electrons. So this is the sodium atom. So in the first there will be 2 electrons and in the second 8. So I want to, so here 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and here it is 1. And I am going to write chlorine also which is 17. So this will have, in first this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So the outermost shell, the valency shell of the sodium contain 1 electron, means the valency electrons in sodium is 1. Here the valency electrons are 7. To get the octet configuration, it needs 7 electrons and it needs 1 electron, or it can lose 1 electron. So it has the configuration of neon. The outermost configuration of neon is 2s2, 2p6, so which are 8. So this is getting octet rule when it loses 1 electron. So gaining 7 is very difficult in this case, so that losing 1 is easy. Here it is easily get 1 electron. So this loses 1 electron and this electron will transfer to the chlorine. When it loses electron it will become positive, so it is Na plus, this is cation. Why it becomes positive? There will be 11 protons and 11 electrons in neutral sodium. Sodium neutral sodium atom lo 11 protons 11 electrons ఉంటాయి. ఒక ఎలక్ట్రాన్ ఇది డొనేట్ చేసినాక ఇట్ విల్ హ్యావ్ 10 ఎలక్ట్రాన్స్ ఓన్లీ. ఆఫ్టర్ ట్రాన్స్ఫరింగ్ 1 electron to chlorine, it will have 10 electrons only. So 10 electrons means electron number is 10 and proton number is 11. So it is the positive, protons are more, that's why it is positive ion. I can call it as cation. And here 17 protons and 17 electrons are there when it is neutral, but when 1 electron is added, when 1 electron is transferred from sodium and it acquires that one, so it will become 18 electrons. So the electrons will be more, that's why it will become negative, so it will become chlorine minus. So this is negative ion, I can say it as anion. Now this sodium plus and chlorine minus combine to give NaCl, which is neutral. So some other examples for ionic bond is magnesium chloride, aluminum chloride, so these are the few important points about ionic bond. It always forms between a metal and non-metal. In previous example, it is NaCl, sodium is a metal and chlorine is a non-metal. Between two atoms having a difference of 1.9 and more in their electronegativities. ఈ ionic bond ఫామ్ కావాలంటే ఉండేటువంటి టూ ఆటమ్స్ మధ్యన ఎలక్ట్రోనెగటివిటీ 1.9 కంటే ఎక్కువ ఉండాలి. If the electronegativity is below 1.9, then there will not be ionic bond formation. అంటే 1.9 కంటే తక్కువ ఉంటే ionic bond అనేది ఫామ్ కాదు. It should be more than 1.9. And strong ionic bonds formed between cesium and fluorine. Fluorine ki cesium ku madhyana ఏర్పడే ionic bond ఉన్న అన్ని ionic bonds కంటే strongest. And strongest ionic bond forms between cesium and fluorine, and ionic compounds have high melting point and high boiling point. ఈ compounds కి high melting point, high boiling points ఉంటాయి. ఎందుకు ఉంటాయంటే these compounds formed due to the strong electrostatic forces. ఇవి చాలా స్ట్రాంగ్ ఫోర్సెస్ తోటి ఫామ్ అవుతాయి కాబట్టి వీటికి హై మెల్టింగ్ పాయింట్ అండ్ హై బాయిలింగ్ పాయింట్ ఉంటాయి. అంటే వీటిని కరిగించడం కానీ లేకపోతే వేపర్గా మార్చడం కానీ కష్టంతో కూడుకున్నటువంటి పని. అండ్ సోల్యూబుల్ ఇన్ పోలార్ సాల్వెంట్స్, ఇవి పోలార్ సాల్వెంట్స్లో కలుస్తాయి. పోలార్ సాల్వెంట్స్ అంటే వాటర్ లాంటి వాటిలో కలుస్తాయి, బట్ నాట్ లైక్ కిరోసిన్ అండ్ ఎక్సెట్రా. కిరోసిన్ లాంటి వాళ్ళు వాటిని నాన్ పోలార్ సాల్వెంట్ అంటారు, కిరోసిన్ అండ్ petrol, these type of things. But this is soluble in polar solvents like water. Water lanti polar solvents lo ivi kalustai, and these conduct electricity in fused state. Fused ante kariginchabadinatvanti state lonemo ivi electricity ni conduct chestayi. In solid state they don't conduct electricity. Solid state lo avi electricity ni conduct cheyavu. These are few important points about ionic bond. Covalent bond, this was given by Lewis. So the previous bond, that is ionic bond, is formed due to the transfer of electrons, and this covalent bond forms due to the sharing of electrons. Sharing అంటే పంచుకోవడం. ఇక్కడ ఎలక్ట్రాన్స్ ని పంచుకోవడం వల్ల ఈ బాండ్ అనేది ఏర్పడుతుంది. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఐఎమ్ గోయింగ్ టు గివ్ యూ hydrogen. Hydrogen electronic configuration is 1s1. So this hydrogen has one electron, and other hydrogen is there. This will also have one electron, and these two electrons are shared by this hydrogen and this hydrogen, forming H2. So sharing of electron is possible in covalent bond. Covalent bonds sharing of electrons vallane vastayi. Some important points about covalent bond. Pure covalent bonds formed between similar atoms like hydrogen. Just now I explained you how the hydrogen is formed, how the covalent bond is there in hydrogen atom. So where the electronegativity difference is 0. Similar atom కాబట్టి దాంట్లో electronegativity 0 ఉంటుంది. Electronegativity 0 ఉంటే మనకు pure covalent bonds వస్తాయి. This always forms between non-metals. అవి non-metals మధ్యన ఏర్పడతాయి, and these have అంటే స్ట్రాంగ్ ఫోర్సెస్ ఉండవు కాబట్టి వాటి మధ్యన these have low melting point and low boiling point, and these are bad conductors of electricity. ఇవి ఎలక్ట్రిసిటీని కండక్ట్ చేయవు. Some exemptions are there like graphite. గ్రాఫైట్ మాత్రం గ్రాఫైట్ లాంటి కోవలెంట్ కాంపౌండ్స్ మాత్రం ఎలక్ట్రిసిటీని కండక్ట్ చేస్తాయి. కానీ మాక్సిమం కోవలెంట్ కాంపౌండ్స్ ఆర్ bad conductors of electricity. And one electron pair is shared, then there is formation of single bond. If 2 electron pairs are shared, double bond. If 3 electron pairs are shared, that is triple bond. Now I will give you one more example for single bond, double bond and triple bond. This is hydrogen, in which each hydrogen have one electron in its outermost shell. So one electron in its shell. So here this hydrogen has one electron and this hydrogen has other electron. So here one electron pair is shared. Ikkada pair ayindi only one electron pair kabatti ikkada bond lo unnadi ee rendu electron maatrame kabatti oka single bond erpadutundi. This is the bond between hydrogen. And here the oxygen electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. So it has 6 outermost electrons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These two oxygen atoms comes together. So there will be sharing of electrons and it will give 2 electrons and this oxygen will give 2 and these 4 electrons shared by this oxygen atom and this oxygen atom. So here 2 pairs of electrons are shared. That's why this is one bond and this is other bond. So oxygen have double bond. In similar way nitrogen electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. So the outermost electrons are 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This nitrogen is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these 3 and these 3. This nitrogen gives 3 and this nitrogen gives 3. Total of 6 electrons. These 6 electrons shared by this nitrogen as well as this nitrogen. So here 1, 2, 3. 3 pairs of electrons are there. That's why nitrogen forms triple bond. This is about the single bond, double bond and triple bond.
Electronic theory of valence proposed by Cassel and Lewis is failed to explain the bond lengths and bond energies of covalent bonds, and they are unable to explain the shape of the molecules also. This is other type of covalent bond. This is called coordinate covalent bond or dative bond, in which one atom donates the electron pair and this electron pair is shared by the both atoms in the compound. అంటే ఈ కోఆర్డినేట్ కోవలెంట్ బాండ్లో ఒక ఆటమ్ ఆ ఎలక్ట్రాన్ పేర్ని డొనేట్ చేస్తుంది. ఆ డొనేట్ చేసినటువంటి ఎలక్ట్రాన్ పేర్ని రెండు ఆటమ్స్ పంచుకుంటాయి. ఇలాంటి బాండ్ని కోఆర్డినేట్ కోవలెంట్ బాండ్ అంటారు. You please observe the pictures. There are two atoms A and B, in which A is donating 2 electrons, a pair of electrons, and those 2 electrons are shared by both A and B. Here A is called electron donor and B is called electron acceptor. Now I am going to explain coordinate covalent band by taking an example, that is sulfur dioxide. This is sulfur, the central atom in SO2, which has 6 outermost electrons, and this is oxygen. This has 6 outermost electrons and this is another oxygen. This also have 6 outermost electrons. So these two forms covalent band by sharing these two electrons. So the bond will be like this. The bond will be like this. Now this oxygen, if it forms again, if it forms covalent band, then sulfur has 10 electrons which is deviating the octet rule. These 2 electrons of sulfur will be donated to this. So and these 2 electrons will be shared by both sulfur and oxygen. Here one covalent bond and one coordinate covalent bond is formed. So this can be represented by, this is double bond covalent band, this is coordinate covalent band. Coordinate covalent band is shown with an arrow. This arrowhead should point the acceptor and it should come from donor. Here the sulfur is donor and oxygen is acceptor.